So what is WPS? Well, if you go to Wikipedia and you look up the definition, you get this convoluted description of what a WPS. But essentially what it is it's doing GIS analysis and image processing online and on demand. So what does this mean to us? And I'm going to be really embarrassed now because in the first slides by Stephen he said don't use bullets and now you're going to get all bored and you're going to die by PowerPoint. So if you can just make it through the next 30 seconds, we'll all be alright. I'm serious, it's only 30 seconds, guys. Now, there's a lot of advantages, and that's why I showed all the bullets, because there's so many advantages, and soon we'll get on to the really good stuff. 30 seconds really takes a long time out of you, doesn't it? So this is probably what your GIS analysts feel like. They're a bit overloaded, they get all these product requests, and so they feel like this poor old donkey. And they might also be a little bit overwhelmed by the next change.
Somebody push that donkey.
Stuck like the donkey.
Yeah, the donkey's stuck, my slides are stuck. Okay, so there we go. We got this IT department that they're not quite sure what they're doing, so they sort of start improvising. This is several guys in my native country painting a pool, and you know you really got to take some steps to do this kind of stuff. So, and this is not changing as well. So this is our current problem. We've got a GIS department. They're getting data from various service providers, from service URLs, and they're continually getting bombarded by requests from various users, different organizations, and this is just making them confused and frustrated. So the new solution is to have a centralized data catalog, and you're bringing in service URLs and data provider information. And now the GIS becomes the model author, and then he can provide these models for consumers to consume that information on demand where they need it. So, like for example, these military users, we might be asking, can they see us? An emergency service responder, where do I go? This field geologist, show me the gold is. Or, for example, this farmer, he might want to know how valuable his crop is going to be. So these are all potential users of WPS technology. But how do I create a web processing service? Well, most of the processes in Imagine are actually already built in. So most of the functions are defined by what we call spatial models. And if you click on the little view button there, you get to see what the spatial model looks like. And if you're really a GIS geek and you enjoy this kind of stuff, I'm more on the sales side, so don't count me in here. But you can actually start defining the process and refining it and improving it. And then the next step, of course, is to publish that model to a server. So you connect to your server. The next thing you want to do is describe the model. Make sure that the user on the internet knows what this model is going to do. You describe some of the inputs. And finally, you publish this model onto the internet. Now, this is Imagine's way of doing it. But essentially what we're doing is we're creating this OGC XML file, which is simply the way the executable for processing a WPS. So if your spatial modeling package can create the XML file, we can consume it in our Apollo solution. It looks complicated, but Chris assures me that it's really easy. So once you've got it into the Apollo client, you can select your model, and based on the model, you can actually, it'll only bring up the images that are appropriate for that particular model. So the definition of the input images is there, and then when you click execute, the model runs online, and you're able to export the output, in this case as an actual image, which you can then do further processing on. You can maybe throw it into something like Google Earth, and look at it with the background imagery. You can also open it up in any kind of OGC compliant web client. Or in this case, we're opening it up in our Titan 3D client, where you can actually execute the model as well, or in a mobile client. So what's next in this arena? Well, sensor web services is coming along, where you can sort of monitor things like gauges and and heart monitors and webcams and all kinds of different things, as long as they connect somehow to the internet. So where does this lead into our technology? Where does it lead into spatial? Well, maybe information from the combine harvester will feed directly into a model that will run the crop yield for this particular farmer. Or maybe local weather stations will provide input for the flu model for this emergency services manager. And maybe this geologist can be taken directly to the area where he found his outcropping of gold or ferrous minerals or something. And the forward military guy, he can get his position defined by his GPS system and fed into his visibility. So you have 15 seconds for questions. It costs approximately